Book family. So I have been challenged to do these every once in a while. I have been asked to actually start doing, Periscope messages to some of my followers, and I must tell you, I have no clue what I'm doing, so bear with me. This is all new. Some of you've seen my alter ego, which is my emoji. And I just simply want to share a few words of wisdom, reflections, and thought. Martin Luther King, to talk about that just briefly. And I'll share some different nuggets with you throughout the month. But we're going to give this a try. I'm a writer, so I communicate, even though I'm a speaker and preacher, I'd much rather communicate via the written word. And a lot of times people don't understand. They see me presenting before hundreds, and I've presented before a couple of thousand people, and they think that it's a gift, which it is. But again, I much rather communicate via Facebook through Sheila, my emoji and alter ego. Having said that, I promised one of the people who I've committed to doing this, KCP, I will use her initials, and my sister, Charmille, I will call her out, that I would be brief and have something hopefully of substance to say and to share. KCP said, girl, don't get on there talking and ranting, and if you are moved to pray, don't get on there doing these 10-minute prayers and all of that. And she shared about how she looked at some lady who really turned her off. And so I'll try not to turn people off, but to inspire, to inform, and to encourage. So what I want to say today deals with moving into the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King National Holiday Celebration. And a lot of people have heard me who have sat through my speeches. They've heard me say that I simply don't want to go through the motions of iconizing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And I have stopped going to many banquets and accepting some requests, especially if I question whether or not the people are truly committed to the work that Dr. King was committed to. Not whether or not they love the I Have a Dream speech, not whether or not they, could quote the part of the speech about our children growing up where they're judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. But really understanding where Dr. King was when he was assassinated. He had moved beyond simply trying to get our nation to reckon with the sickness of its soul due to racism, due to white privilege, to reckon and to grapple with that and to understand from a humanitarian perspective that we are all created by the same creator, and we are indeed created equally, and we deserve the same rights and privileges. He'd gone beyond the social aspect of integrating public places and really began to challenge America to look at where its heart really lies. And I say that because there's a reference to scripture that says where a man's treasures or heart is, there his treasures are as well. And so Dr. King, many of us know, died fighting the war against poverty. And he went to Memphis to stand with the sanitation workers. And we know that it was there where he would deliver his final message. I have trouble when I go or when banquets are held and people only know the I Have a Dream speech and only can talk about the soft-hearted Dr. King. And I also have a problem when I sit and I scan crowds in the crowd, and I don't see folk who have stood on the front lines for social justice, but who have taken seats as scripture says, who've saved the best seats for themselves. But you can't find them standing behind or beside the public works workers in Chapel Hill and in other places, the sanitation workers of our day. You can't find them supporting the A. Philip Randolph organization and its mission to stand up for workers' rights, or those who are fighting to raise the minimum wage. You never see them at moral movements, any aspect of it. You never see them at HK on J's. You never see them writing letters to the editor of their local newspapers. You don't see them challenging the institutional structures of their particular areas or of their time. And so I have a problem, sitting among the hypocrites is what I say. So I really want to encourage people as we begin to celebrate Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and his legacy, as we always do. And I'm so glad that we do have a national holiday. I want to encourage people to really think about what Dr. King's work meant and what it stood for beyond this commercialization of it that we are so often accustomed to in terms of our ritualistic practices and symbolic gestures that we give to honor him around this time. I want us to really think about how he challenged us to think about and to look after the least of those who are among us. That was Christ's message. It was, when I was hungry, did you feed me? Naked, did you clothe me? In prison, did you come and see about me? I really want to challenge us as we move into Monday, the national celebration of Dr. King holiday, or his work and his legacy, to ask ourselves, what are we going to do beyond Monday? What are we going to do to help make sure in North Carolina, for example, that Governor Cooper has the supports that he needs and the advocates that he needs standing strong and courageously behind him as he goes into, as one of my friend says, the lion's den, or the pit of vipers that we know of as the extremists on the far right in the North Carolina General Assembly. He's going to need people who are not afraid to come to Raleigh, as well as those who are serving in our General Assemblies across this nation and in Congress in Washington. We're going to need people who are not afraid. Dr. King said that the true character, the content, the essence of a person's true character is measured, and it is evident not where they stand and what they do in times and moments of convenience and comfort, but what they do in times of challenge and controversy. And so I challenge all of us as we move into Monday to ask, how can we be of service to this great nation? How can we serve this wonderful state of ours to the fullest? And when I say the fullest, to making sure that not just our children, our family members, and our friends have comforts of convenience and have comforts, but that everyone does, that we're going into neighborhoods that have been left behind and that have been marginalized, as Dr. King did, and as I strongly believe, would encourage us to do today. The I Have a Dream speech and the March on Washington was wonderful. And I will never, ever minimize or discredit the value of that and what it meant in terms of American history and world history and the precedent that it set. I will never undermine the importance of encouraging countries around and oppressed people around the globe through the works of Dr. King to tear down walls of oppression. We can look at apartheid in South Africa as an example. But we've got heavy lifting to do today, and we've got to finish his unfinished work. In closing, Dr. King knew, as the Panthers knew, The Panthers fed people. They understood that you had to meet people where they were. You had to feed hungry bellies before you could train them and prepare them for a revolution. I say, and I want to particularly say this to my folk and friends on the left, and particularly those in the Democratic Party. If you want people to follow the Democratic platform and to support the Democratic Party during the midterm elections, and for us not to see what we just witnessed in the general election of 2016, you got to start feeding hungry bellies. And that means meeting people in the streets, not in the halls of academia, and not in corporate America, not from an elitist perspective. You've got to go and reach those people that Bernie Sanders was able to reach if you want to see a shift and a change come midterm elections. In short, you've got to go and touch and be with and tap into and understand the same people that Dr. King understood so clearly. I'm Michelle Laws, and that's my truth.